Good evening and welcome to Daily Politics on Trust TV. I'm Hamza Idriz. Tonight, reactions continue to trail the outcome of Saturday's FCT Council election and the by-elections in Kano, Rivers and Ogun states. But beyond the results, attention is shifting to what these polls signal for 2027. Across the FCT, turnout was visibly low. Reports of voter apathy, intimidation, harassment, and alleged result manipulation have raised fresh concerns about the direction of Nigeria's electoral politics. There are also questions about the state of the opposition. Internal divisions and weak performances in the recent polls have sparked debate over whether voters are being left with fewer credible alternatives as the ruling All Progressive Congress consolidates its ground in key areas. What does this mean for the balance of power in 2027? Joining us is APC Chieftain Chillie Igbawua to respond to concerns about the political climate and assess his party's performance. He will join us via Zoom in a moment. But before we proceed, here are some tidbits. Yes, I beg your pardon. Yeah. Former Kaduna State Governor Nasir El-Rufai has filed a $1 billion fundamental rights enforcement suit against the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, ICPC, accusing the agency of unlawfully invading and searching his Abuja residence. The suit marked FHC ABJCS 345-2026 and filed at the Federal High Court here in Abuja by his counsel, Oluwole Yamu, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, challenges the validity of a search warrant issued on February 4th by a chief magistrate of the Federal Capital Territory Magistrate Court. El-Rufai is asking the court to declare the warrant authorizing the search and seizure at his residence invalid, null, and void. And a coalition of civil society and women's organizations has warned the Department of State Service, DSS, against obstructing an independent investigation into the alleged abduction of a teenager, Walida Abdulhadi, reported linked to one of its personnel. The coalition, operating under the Concerned Coalition for Walida Abdulhadi, includes the Federation of Muslim Women's Association of Nigeria, Form 1, and Women in Da'wah, among others. At the press conference in Abuja, the group argued that the DSS cannot investigate, defend, and determine the outcome of a case involving one of its staff. And elsewhere, the All Progressive Congress says its victory in the weekend polls amount to a referendum on the performance of President Bola Tinubu. The ruling party won 5 of the 6 chairmanship seats in the FCT area council elections, while the PDP secured 1 seat. The APC also claimed victory in the by-election into the state constituencies in Rivers and Kano states. And finally, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar has linked the low voter turnout in Saturday's FCT area council election to what he described as a political climate marked by intimidation and shrinking democratic space. In a statement issued by his media office, Atiku accused the Tinubu administration of weakening opposition voices. He warned that when citizens lose faith in the value of their votes, democracy begins to erode. And now, State of the Nation with Dr. Hakim Baba Ahmed.
Hello. Today I would like to speak on the management of our public finances, or more specifically, the manner in which we fund our approved budgets. As we're all aware, budgets are virtually sacrosanct. Governments prepare plans for expenditure, they identify income, and they assign specific amounts for specific projects and areas. In the last 3-4 years, we've complained about the fact that there are loose ends, worrying loose ends in terms of the manner we handled budgeting process. As we speak, there are still elements of the 2024 budget, 2025 budget. Now we have a new budget, 2026. Out of all these three, the most worrying aspect, apart from the poor management of our budgets, is the fact that we are not releasing funds for approved projects in our budgets. From murmurs to now loud noises, the nation is alarmed at the degree to which government is deliberately starving ministries, departments, and agencies of funds that are approved in the budget and for commitments that have been made and substantially executed by MDAs. This is very worrying. We hear that Nigeria is making a huge amount of money, from improved revenues to increased taxation, and so we, listening to government, we're supposed to be a lot better off than we were 3, 4, 5 years ago. And a lot of this money is going to local governments, is going to states. But what does the federal government do with its own money? You go to ministries and departments and agencies, and they tell you they receive less than 10% of what was budgeted for capital projects. In many instances, these projects would have been awarded following due process, and people would be waiting for funding. If the projects are abandoned because funding dries up, it means that we have uncompleted projects, and we have too many of these from 2024, 2025, and 2026. MDAs don't like to speak out in public, but legislators speak out. They've spoken out for a long time now. Their projects, constituency projects, are not being funded. Key elements of our budget in key areas of development, security are not being funded. So what is happening to the money, Nigeria's money that is, we hear is rising in terms of quantum, and where is the evidence that we're managing our economy better? These are very worrying questions, and we should raise them now, because this is an election year. And as we know, in Nigeria, an election year is the year where opacity and lack of transparency becomes more pronounced as we move nearer to the elections. So this is a plea to the government, President Tinubu's administration. We want to see improved transparency in the manner our budgets are handled. We want to know how the 2024, 2025, 2026 budgets will be tied up. We want to see monies approved in the budgets, projects awarded. We want to see them funded. Where there is a failure to that regard, the nation deserves to know. We cannot have budgets running into trillions and trillions and trillions and zero accountability. This is not acceptable. It is wrong. And we, in particular, because we are in election year, Nigerians have a cause to worry. My hope is that those who are responsible for accountability in this country and those who are responsible for managing our finances would hear this plea. It's not just coming from me, it's coming from a huge number of Nigerians who are genuinely worried on the basis of the evidence on the ground that Nigeria is not managing its public finances as well as it should. Thank you.
Dr. Hakim Baba Ahmed there with State of the Nation. As we stated earlier, reactions continue to trail the outcome of the Saturday's FCT Council election and the by-elections in Kano, Rivers, and Ogun states. But beyond the results, attention is shifting to what these polls signal for 2027. And joining us via Zoom to dissect this and many other issues is Chieftain of the APC, Chillie Igbawua. Mr. Chillie, welcome to our program. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm not a chieftain of the APC.
It's ADC, sir.
I'm a chieftain of the ADC.
ADC, sir.
Please.
Yes. We're happy to have you joining us.
Thank you.
Yes, I want to start with a very big issue that unraveled today, to have your take before we go into the elections and the aftermath in Abuja, Kano, Rivers, and Ogun. One of your own, the former governor of Kaduna State, Nasir El-Rufai, has slammed 1 billion suit against the ICPC. What is your take on that?
Well, I think he has a right to do so if he feels that his right has been offended. And we heard him when he spoke at the airport, where the ICPC sought to be inviting him, whereas it was only when he arrived his house in the evening that a letter came in. So if he feels scandalized, he has a right to take legal action as a lawful citizen.
But beyond going to court, as we speak, he's still with the ICPC. And before then, he was with the EFCC. And then the State Service, DSS, is looking around. Because by the 25th, they are also expected to take him to court. Don't you think El-Rufai is actually bargaining more than he can chew?
Well, I don't think it's bargaining. The issue is that every issue is separate. The EFCC is inviting him for different issues, I believe. The ICPC should also be inviting him for different issues. Otherwise, they will have no reason to, be multiplying the charges against him. And I also know that DSS is pursuing a different thing entirely, which, from what we hear, is based on the interview he granted on a Rise television. So it's not that he's biting more than he can chew. He's trying to just exercise his right to free expression. And if by his expression anybody or agency feels offended, they have a right to, take the proper legal action against him, just like he too has the right to take legal action against any person or agency that he feels is offending him.
Before we came to the studio, I saw a post by Reno Omokri, who said already the TV station that granted interview to El-Rufai has moved on for other, stories that can bring the clicks, and all that to them. Even the ADC has moved on. The party that you also belong, if you went to the extent of saying even El-Rufai's children, they have moved on because if you check their timelines, they are involved in other issues, and then El-Rufai is there on his own. Could that be true?
I don't think he's there on his own. There are many Nigerians who are behind him. Mind you, the ADC issued a statement, but the stand of the ADC has always been that we are not against prosecuting people if charges are raised against them. What we are against is persecution of people simply because they belong to the opposition. And so if it is the earlier one, he has the capacity to stand the trial. He has said, he has declared his innocence concerning his public service. But if it's persecution, that is what we're against. So he's not on his own. If he's been interrogated, I do not see why people should just be making noise for the sake of making noise. The party has issued a statement against persecution. But if they have genuine charges against him, and from what we have listened to him say over and again, he feels that he's not guilty of those allegations. And so he is capable, he's a well-trained person and a lawyer himself. He knows where to start and where to stop. So I don't think he's abandoned.
And finally on this, you also subscribe to the allegation that the ruling party is actually using instrument of state to pursue opposition figures.
Certainly so. I have information regarding several other public officers, highly placed public officers, who should in fact be before courts or should in fact be inside jails, that are moving our streets conveniently with sirens and security protection. We are aware of some people who were being invited by the EFCC and were even trying to bribe the chairman of the EFCC, which he cried out against. And the moment that the government changed and they took their high offices, nobody speaks about them again. And of course, the ruling party has said it before that if you come to ADC or your sins are APC or your sins are forgiven. So we lamentably believe that's the kind of policy that they're pursuing, that as many as have moved into the APC, their sins have been forgiven. But I move to say that maybe they are forgiven for the remaining 1.5 years or 2 years that the APC government is in power. The moment they give way, the law will take its rightful course.
All right, thank you very much, Chief Chillie. Now moving to the subject of discussion today, the aftermath of the by-elections in the Federal Capital Territory, in Kano, in Rivers, and in Ogun State. I want to have your take because we are all here in Abuja. Are you satisfied with the conduct of the election?
Hello? Okay, yeah, I can hear you again, but you...
Yes,
you
okay, let me come again, yes. I said now to the main topic of discussion, election fallout, the political signals, and more. We had by-elections and local government election precisely in the FCT. Are you satisfied with the outcome of the election? Because from what we have, the APC won 5 out of the 6 area councils, including Amak, Abaji, Buari, Kuje, and Kwali, while the PDP won in Gwagwalada. Are you satisfied with that outcome?
Well, we are still studying the outcomes of these elections. And I think at an appropriate time we should issue an informed statement. But you, as part of the media, are aware of all the wrongdoings that took place, of vote buying, of extremely low turnout of voters, of violence, you know, at the polling units. And so we are studying it. We do not want to make statements that are uninformed. But I would say that, we can't be moving back. We have been having declining voter turnout against increasing voter registration. And it's a paradox that we actually studying very carefully to see what is going on. And we also saw that the ruling party decided to constitute themselves into election monitors and supervisors, even where they didn't have any legal basis to be on the streets. After stopping every other person from being on the streets, they took to the streets, moving from polling unit to canvass. And possibly, I believe that some of the people who were caught with huge sums of money are those that may have been sent by the ruling party. And these people possibly were going around to inspect to see if they were actually utilizing the money for purposes of procuring votes. So I wouldn't say that generally we're satisfied. Certainly we're not satisfied. But we are studying it so we can come out with a very well-informed opinion and statement.
Yes, you made a statement, I mean, in respect to the issue of increasing voters' registration with the canvas of decreasing voters' participation. It looks like a paradox, because if people are now moving to register to collect the voters' card, is it that they are using the voters' card for something different, maybe for opening bank accounts and all that, while on the other hand, why are they reluctant to come out and vote? Of course, it's not a general opinion, but then in one of the places which some of us carry the story, the presiding officers there told the FCT minister, towards the end of the, voting, that about 10% of those expected to go and cast their votes, their turnout. Why are we having this serious apathy on one hand, and then the increasing registration of voters? Hello? Yes. So the question, maybe if you didn't hear me, Chief, I said why increase in number of people who are collecting the voters card, including young people, who attain the age of 18, while on the other side, they don't even want to come out to cast their vote, to choose people of their choice, to make, credible selection among the diverse people who have, thrown their heart into the ring in order to get any of the available seats. Yes. Unfortunately, we have a network glitch with Mr. Chillie. We'll take a short break. Hopefully, we will have him back. Stay with us. Welcome back. If you are just joining, you are watching Daily Politics on Trust TV. Do well to follow the conversation across our social platforms on Facebook, Instagram, and watch us live on YouTube. And before we went on break, following the glitch we suffered due to poor network connectivity, we are discussing election fallout, which held at the weekend, with a chieftain of the African Democratic Congress, Mr. Chillie Igbawua. Thank God we have got him back. Welcome back to the program, Mr. Chillie.
Thank you very much. I'm happy it's not the type of idle glitch.
Yes. Anyway, now still talking about the election fallout. Now in Abuja, is it that the elite, most of them actually maybe register in their home states, while those who live in Abuja, is it the indigents, as they call themselves, or the itinerant workers, they are dissatisfied with state of affairs, and therefore their apathy to turn out to, cast their vote, because it was actually dismal.
Yeah, you see, the studies that we've so far carried out on voter turnout show that, one, there is poor civic education. So citizens are not too sure to put value on going out to vote. Another reason is insecurity. If you don't keep the election day secure, many people are afraid of their lives. And when they do, comparative costs, they discover that it's not worth risking their lives. Again, many Nigerians have lost confidence in the electoral umpire, and they believe that whatever you go and do, they are going to announce what they want. Besides that, poor performance by governments, particularly the APC government that has been in power for over 10 years now, has discouraged people. People are simply discouraged, and it requires a lot of civic education to let them know that it is better to go and vote them out than to protest and stay at home. So I do not think the majority of those who are in the federal capital register in their places. We have a good population of indigents and those who stay here and have registered as voters in the FCT. So for these reasons, cause the low voter turnout. So we need better education for the people so that they can understand the value of their civic duty. We also need to make this election day secure. We also need good governance so that people are encouraged, they know that government affects their lives. Like somebody said, which I agree with him, that many of the indigenes of, the residents of the Federal Capital Territory have their own government in their houses. They have their borehole at home. They have their generators, so they generate their power on their own. They provide their potable water on their own, and virtually every other service. They employ their security men, and so they don't have need for government, because depending on government will not give them those services. So I think these are some of the reasons that discourage voter turnout.
Now, what about the directive by the FCT minister, the restriction of movement, 6 to 6, right, on Saturday? Could that also be a factor as to the low voter turnout?
Yeah, certainly. I did say that when I spoke about his conduct on that day. He restricted people to their homes. And I remember there was a governor who, instead of foisting a dusk to dawn curfew, foisted a down to dusk curfew, and they ended up saying the opposite of what he wanted. Now, people are supposed to come out. And there were lots of, instances on which the media houses showed long, queues of vehicles, including of people who were emergency services. And the restriction was without any exceptions. So even those who were supposed to be essential services got stranded somewhere. Similarly, it is not everybody who registers to vote that has a polling unit just behind his house. And some people needed to move from place to place to go and get their own polling units to cast their votes. And they were, retarded by that unfortunate and insensitive order of the minister of the FCT. Beyond that, again, you know that several people went out to vote. They moved from place to place. They could not get their polling units because INEC changed their polling units without notice to them. So after going to 2-3 places, they got frustrated and decided to go back home. So I think it was an unfortunate thing. The minister said he got his authority from the president. But as far as the laws of Nigeria show, neither the minister nor the president have the powers to do that. Those who have the power to declare public holidays and request people who stay at home are different. So what he did is not different from the, sit at home that IPOP declares in the Southeast.
And then we also noticed something quite unusual. Somehow on the eve of election, or just 2 days to the election, talking about opposition politics now. Of course, those who stepped down were not members of the ADC. Some of them belonged to the PDP. These were people whose name, have been submitted to INEC way ahead of the election. But then suddenly we had them saying they have stepped down for candidates of the APC. I'm not a lawyer, and I don't know whether you are one, but they're even in political parlance. Does that have a place in our democracy? Just on the eve of election, someone to now say that he is no longer interested. He has, mortgaged what people kept for him, that they should now move it to another house.
What you see is part of vote buying, whereas the other one is done at retail level. This one is at distribution level, because when you arrest a candidate at the election, and then you give him a big bribe and he says, "I've stepped down." A few of his supporters may genuinely go and vote for the APC, which he says he's stepping down for. But I believe that most of the people would not even be aware that he stepped down anyway. And in any case, as far as the records of INEC show, votes cast for such candidate will still be counted and will be recorded against his party in the end. So it's one of the corruptible and corruption tendencies that we've had the present administration of the APC going into. I think we're just wondering whether we have any of our values left, because the level of erosion of our values is so rampant and so vociferous that we fear that by the time they finish this 4-year term, whether we still have some of our values in place. But luckily, Nigerians will not give them a day beyond 2027.
Okay, another red flag which many Nigerians raised during the weekend election is the mutilation of the form, C8, this thing, for recording what each political party got. Of course, we know it's an era of AI. Some, out of mischief, they can just, mutilate and then post it on their Facebook and all that. But beyond that, opposition parties, including yours and others, they also complain that the marks that the ruling party got in some of these places, once you look at the form, you know that it was tampered with. And this is coming just a few days after we got a new Electoral Act, which provided 2 options for, conduct of election. Maybe to now upload it, if not possible, now to record it. Or after recording it on the form, you now transmit it to the IREF. This is FCT, but we have seen a lot of anomalies. Do you think this is, red danger ahead of 2027? Because even in the FCT, we have some of these infractions glaringly during by-election. What do we expect 2027?
Well, you see, these infractions are human-induced. They are not errors of technology or challenges of technology. The INEC chairman went out to, monitor the elections and reported to Nigerians that so far that the beavers was performing optimally in all places that it visited, and he was not receiving reports of failures of beavers. Now, when the president is asked, we knew where he was heading to, just to ensure that you provide for yourself opportunity, not to allow the election through technology to proceed, but to allow yourself an opportunity that you can just sit down and write what you want and then collate it. Like you said, yes, it's possible. In the age of AI, some things can be wrong, but we've seen a couple of those things in the polling unit in which the total number of registered voters were only 300 and something, and the accredited voters were 212. We had the APC, scoring 1,200 and something votes. So you can imagine that kind of monumental fraud. So I think that whereas we may, for purposes of the present age in technology, have doubts, like I said in the beginning, we are studying those things carefully so that we can have more informed, opinion on them. But let me say this, that it is even good that the new Electoral Act is being tested few hours after it was, signed into law by the president. And most of us believe that even the INEC chairman never saw a copy of the signed document before the election took place, just like members of the public are still looking forward. In this APC age in which you receive different versions of a signed legal instrument, we do not know which one is wrong, right, or which one is wrong. So even INEC, I'm sure they didn't have the authentic new Electoral Act before conducting the elections. But let's just assure ourselves as Nigerians that we are taking cognizance of what has happened, part of which is what our fears have been. But we are taking appropriate steps to ensure that where government agencies fail, we, members of the opposition political parties, individually and collectively, put in place proper measures to ensure that those who are looking forward to, corrupting the process in 2027 fail woefully, and we can assure Nigerians of that.
Actually, that was the question I wanted to pose, that ahead of the elections, not only in the FCT, but even in Kano, in Rivers, And that you didn't put strong voice. It's like the opposition is extremely weak. Many people said they didn't see the ADC, for instance, campaigning in Abuja. Of course, on the eve of the election or thereabout, we saw, I think, Vice President Atiku and the Labour Party presidential candidate in 2023 raising the hands of Mr. Mo somewhere, saying, okay, they have endorsed him. Don't you think it was too late to do that? Because this election's preparation for it over air, but then it was only in the eve that we saw a semblance of campaign. Is the ADC specifically already, I mean, a foregone issue as far as the 2027 elections are concerned?
I think that ADC should not be measured based on what took place in the FCT elections. First, let me tell you that we analyzed some of the composition of candidatures that were put forward. But maybe the public should understand that when the coalition adopted ADC as its party, that party in its weak status had already submitted names of their candidates to INEC. It was too late for the re-engineered ADC to do anything about it. And so we analyzed what was submitted. We saw some flaws, but we decided, it was better to be on the ballot than not to be at all. So you don't get forgotten by the public. So we admit, and we're actually still carrying out extensive studies on the errors that were caused, possibly because it was a small political party at that time. They did not take cognizance of some of the limitations in the composition of their candidatures. But regarding the campaigns, campaigns have been going on long before this. And even the principal persons in the ADC that you mentioned, you forgot to mention His Excellency Rotimi Amechi, who also went out for campaigns. You also forgot to mention Nasir El-Rufai, who also went out for
El-Rufai ahead of the election. You know, he has been with the EFCC and thereafter ICPC.
But we also have people. Well, go and check your records. He campaigned before he was.
I know, I am aware of it. I'm just talking about the last minute campaign.
He campaigned on a Friday and a Saturday before this time.
Yes.
So go and check your records. You'll find the videos there who campaigned.
I agree with you. And what I'm saying is, I mean, the last minute campaign where you go door to door.
I'm saying the campaign started earlier. And several organizations were campaigning for. On ground in time.
Okay, now let's go to
our campaigns may not be accurate, but it is in no way position to measure our capacity going forward. Remember, it's some issues. We are working on the committee is working on the constitutional amendment, policy and manifesto. So we are very busy putting the house in order, but nonetheless, we still had some.
Okay, it's like we're having some. Yes, are you with us, Chief? Unfortunately, we lost Chief, so we still have like 6 minutes. So we'll try and see whether we will reconnect with him in order to wrap up the program. We'll take a short break while the technical crew moves on to, get us connected with him. Yes, hello, Chief.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. We really acknowledge your indulgence, manager. That is it, the technology beyond our control. Now, quickly, because we have just 4 or 5 minutes to wrap up. In Kano, it was APC that cleared, the 2 state assembly seats. The same thing in Rivers State. And then the leadership of the ruling party said, this is a clear referendum on what the opposition should expect, including the whole, of the electorate in Nigeria. Do you have a contrary view to what they said?
I think that is that is an absolutely wrong opinion. The ADC is fond of issuing premeditated statements to justify what they intend to do fraudulently. And I think that's, again, is what they are trying to achieve by these statements. The APC believes that by, forcing many governors to go to their camps, that makes them, a strong political party. But I'd like to say that we have taken note, and it's good that they did it early enough in the day, so that opposition too is making its preparations. When the time comes, Nigerians will show that they cannot afford to continue with the sufferings that they are going through. Every day you hear worse set of killings than the previous day, and the government comes up to say we're in charge, it will not happen again, and before the ink is dried on the paper, you have another set of killings again. It's become a daily ritual. Now, a government that cannot fulfill its basic responsibility of protecting the lives and property of citizens has the capacity to deploy security just to, to protect their votes at elections. So you know where their interest lies. They have the capacity to protect votes, so they're interested merely in politics, but not in governance. Because I think that a government that is serious about governance should bury its face in shame, and should even be calling for, suspension of some elections because of the kind of things that are happening all over the place. Every day is bloodshed. Every day is bloodshed. Poverty gets worse. People, in addition to dying at the hands of bandits, terrorists, and kidnappers, are dying in their droves under poverty and hunger. And
but you can only checkmate, Chief. You can only checkmate. You can only checkmate the ruling party, Chief.
Going on in the minds of Nigerians. So we're saying 2027 will be Nigerians against APC, not just against political parties.
But Nigerians they need a forceful commander to take them there. For now, in the opposition, we have multiple presidential hopefuls. We have the Atikus, we have the, Peter Obis, the Amechis, El-Rufais, maybe your humble self, and all that. Do you think you will galvanize your force, to challenge the APC train, which has already taken most of your governors? They are still pushing, collecting your, members of State Assembly, members of the National Assembly. Is there any hope? We have just 1 minute to wrap up. Yes.
Yeah, you heard when they went to do a reception in Kano for the governor who decamped, that the people said, we're not going to do this. We are not going to follow you. That is the voice of the real Nigerians. So the governors, many of them have gone with very few people, because they are decamping not because of conviction. They're decamping because they want to save their necks, or, as we hear, to receive the bounty that is available for those who desire to decamp. Secondly, on the issue of number of presidential candidates, we have not gone 1/4 of the number of presidential candidates that went to the post for APC. Not 1/4. The number of presidential candidates that were there in the APC contest were more than 4 or 5 times more than the ones that you are mentioning in the ADC. So we are in a more healthy situation in terms of competition. And the ADC intends to have, an open playing field for all its candidates who have already stated they are willing when we have a free and fair promise to support whoever comes up victoriously.
All right,
we are planning finally, we believe that we're going to get there.
All right, just a word on the performance of the INEC chairman on the just concluded by elections. Just a word or sentence.
Well, I give him 30%.
30%. All right, we hope he improves ahead of 2027. Chief Chillie Igbawua, Chieftain of the African Democratic Congress, we thank you very much for enduring the technical glitches to drive up to the end of this program. We thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much, and good night.
And we hope to have you some other time. And viewers, that's a wrap on today's package of Daily Politics. Join us tomorrow for another interesting edition. From here, I'm Hamza Idriz. Good night. The guy was